thanks for coming today. I'm going to be doing a base makeup look, just my base makeup, using the products that I'm panning for the month of November. So just to show you how I do my base makeup, how I do my brows, basically that, but using panning project items, trying to get rid of some things, use some new things like that. So I wanted to share with you how I do my base makeup and the products I'm using for November's project pan. So we're gonna go ahead and get started. Already used the lip scrub, and this is the lip scrub that I am panning. This is from Seraphine Botanicals, the Daikon and Dreams lip exfoliator. I've used this for quite a while. I've had it for a while. This is like the third time it's been in a project pan, but it's a nice scrub, so I've already used that. And then the Aero Boost Lip Balm. It's one of these kind that changes color on your lips. So I'm using this, that's already on. Next, I'm going to use a facial spray, and I used up this one. This was in my panning. Focus, there we go. This is the one I'm using. It's the Grace and Stella Rose Spray, and it was just a small little sample, so I've used it up already. So now I'm going to go into my Mario Badescu and spray this on my face. For my moisturizer, I am using this one here from Payot. Got this as a sample in a box, so I'm just gonna moisturize just a little bit. Don't need a lot of this. For my eye cream, I'm using this Murad eye cream. And I'm just gonna put a little bit under my eye and blend that in. And if you do get dry patches, this stuff is great on that. And I do get a little dry around here. So I'm gonna put a little bit down here for extra hydration in those dry patches that I get. For primer, I'm using the First Aid Beauty Coconut Moisturizing Primer. I've used a few sample sizes of this and I really like it. So I'm just gonna put that much. Now I'm gonna do a little bit of concealing, and this is the CoverGirl True Blend Undercover Concealer, and I'm gonna try to neutralize some of this darkness a little here and under here. And I put concealer on before foundation and after foundation, but I only put it on in a very light layer. So I'm just gonna put a little here. I also put it a little on my lid to help neutralize the darkness there. And then just with the warmth of my finger, and I'm pressing a lot, just pressing, not so much swiping, pressing to let the warmth of my finger help melt it in a little bit so it's not cakey. And it's a very tiny bit, so I'm not using a lot, and you can already see the difference. It's neutralized it a little bit. It's not as stark. You can already tell the difference between this eye and this eye. This one is a little bit darker, and this one's a little bit more neutralized. And my foundation is going to be the Maybelline Super Stay. I love this. This is like my second bottle I've used. You only need a little bit of this because it can go from medium to full coverage, and it is a bit drier. It's more of a matte, so that's why I do a little bit more hydration to help this not look too cakey on my skin. But then I add a facial spray, and it's going to be a lot glowier at the end when I get done. But this is the foundation that I'm using in my project pan for November. And then I'm using my little e.l.f. sponge, and I'm patting, not swiping, patting it in. Pressing it, not swiping. I will swipe it when I get down here, swipe it down my neck a little bit, but on my face, I will press it in. And that's the foundation. It's nice and smooth, really smooth, and it's just a light coating of foundation, not a lot, because I don't like cakey. So now I'm going to add a little bit more of this concealer, plus I am using up my LA Girl Pro Conceal, and I have it in this little container. I'm going to add just a little bit of that to my to the bottom, and then any residual onto the top, and then I'm going to powder it down with my Lorac. This is the Lorac Loose Setting Powder. Got this in a BoxyCharm. This is so nice. It's very finely milled. You just need a little bit, and I only use it for around my eyes and a little bit of finishing. I use it as a finishing powder. And then I am using my RCMA No Color Powder. I pressed it. I added a little bit of alcohol to it and pressed it into a little eyeshadow pan. Yep, it's falling out. It's very fine, but if you don't want it to be loose, if you find that is, you know, a hassle of it being loose, then you can just take a little bit of alcohol, mix it, press it into a pan and let it dry. It's a lot more easy to use that way, but it is very fine, so it will break apart easily, but it's a lot less messy than using this. So these are the two powders that I'm going to use, and then the concealer, and I'll show you how I do that. Now I'm going to go in with the RCMA powder, and I'm just going to set my T-zone. Don't need much because this foundation is already kind of matte, but I like to just set my T-zone and my brows because my brows tend to sweat. I don't know if your brows sweat, but mine do, so I tend to go in and set them a little bit with powder. I'm just putting a very light layer once again, just to set. So there's that so far. So that's where we are so far. Now we're gonna get into doing these brows. Okay, so first I'm gonna go in and brush them up. I also have brushes in my project pan that I'm using too, because I have a lot of brushes. So I'm using different brushes as well, and this is a nice brow brush with the spoolie on one end and a angled brush, and this is from Lavish, and this is the Brow Groomer. I'm using their brushes in my project pan to make sure I use all the brushes I have. So once those are combed, then I'm going to use the Benefit Brow Contour Pro. I love this. I found this at TJ Maxx, and it has different colors here for highlighting and different brows. So I'm gonna go into, this is the darkest one, and it's a clicky pen. You click it up, and then I'm gonna go in and outline my brow. And I found that the inside of your eye, that's where your brow should stop, and your arch should be where your outside of your eye is. So when you're doing your arch, that's where your arch should be. So then you can go in and put in a dot. That's where your arch should be. It doesn't have to be perfect because you're gonna go in and clean it up, but basically just outline. For my brow powder, I'm using the Wet n Wild Ultimate Brow Kit. This is the only one they have I've seen. It's ash brown. It has a wax and then 2 lighter powders. And I use the wax sometimes, but I always use this. So I'm going to go ahead and press the powder into my brows. And I don't go all the way over. It's from the center to the tail. And I'm pressing it in. I'm not swiping it in, I'm pressing it in. Then take my spoolie. I'm gonna brush down. And then I'm going to brush up. Like that. Then I'm taking a mixture of concealer and foundation on the back of my hand and my little brush, and then I'm gonna carve them out. And I find that using a really tiny brush for me makes me be more precise. Then I'm going to use this little Real Techniques, and I'm going to go in and blend that out. And since you're using so little, it's not going to mess up the foundation, and it's not going to mess up the powder. And then the colors that you're using are the concealer and the foundation that you're using, so it will blend. And then you can just go in and perfect any lines or arch. And there's your finished brow. Okay, so now that my brows are on, we're gonna do the contour, blush, highlight, and bronzer. So for my nose contour and for the contour of my face, I'm using the Revolution Contour Ultra Contour Palette. I've had this for a long time. I only use these 3 because the highlights are too icy and these are too ashy for me. So I use this one up. It's almost, it's got that one little piece there. and then I use this as a bronzer, but I have a different bronzer I'm using, and then I use this for contour. So that's what I'm going to use to contour my nose, and it's really light. It's a really light color, so the brush I'm going to use for contour is the Morphe G39. Put my bronzer on, and then I forgot to put my finishing powder on, so I'm going to go back into the Lorac setting powder and just go over lightly. The brush that I used was a Morphe E34 for just laying that powder down. And then for my bronzer, I'm using the Morphe R2 for my bronzer. The bronzer I'm using is from Wet n Wild. This is from one of their collections a while back. The collection that's no longer available. I think this one was like with the dragons. This one is called Queensland, and as you can see, that's why it's in the project pan, because it's almost done. So I'm just going to swirl that around and just add just a little bit of bronzer and blend out the contour. Not much. For my blush, I'm using this Half Caked in Bloom blush. It's a really pretty, like a terracotta color. You need a little bit of this. Very little. It's very pigmented and it blends out really nicely. I'm gonna put that on. And the brush that I'm using is the Luxie 514. For my highlight, I'm using the Beauty Bakery Milk and Honey palette that I also got in a BoxyCharm. And this is what she looks like. This looks pink, but it is really gold. It's a gold, which I like it. That, and this is more icy. It's a lighter gold with a little bit of pink in it. But I don't know what I'm gonna do for my eye look today, so I'm just going to go into, I think I'm gonna go into these two. And the brush that I'm using is the Wet n Wild P75. Go down the nose, keep his bow, chin, and then of course on the high point of my cheek. And I do it in a C, a little bit above the brow, blend down. And then go in with your blush brush with it and just blend it out. And they're not like really blinding, but they're really nice and subtle, which I like. And they're soft. You don't get any kick up. And they melt into the skin really nicely. It doesn't show like a line on my face. Okay, so lastly, I just go in with my Mario Badescu and my Fix Plus. And that's just to set down the powders. And that's it. That's my base makeup. how I do it. Except for me forgetting to put my powder on that one time, that's fine. But this is basically my base makeup and how I apply it, and using products that I'm using in my project pan for November. So let me know what you're using, or if you're doing project pan. I do it every month. But this is just to show you basic. You can just go with this and be done, or do something with your eyes, or do something really simple. So but I thank you all for watching. Appreciate you so much. Like, share, and subscribe. Follow me on Instagram. And have a wonderful holiday. And take care. Thank you.